Welcome to the Stranger Still podcast. I'm Kathleen.
And I'm Miles.
And we are doing our 2023 rewatch of Stranger Things as a character-by-character series this time. So basically, we're following the journey of 11 of the main characters through season 1 through 4.
And it's all about the characters. Stranger Things, known for nostalgia, visuals, big moments, music moments, but the cast, the best of the best. But the cast and the characters is the heart.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube at StrangerStill22. Subscribe, share, review us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And our third character, the California dreamin', Starcourt shoppin', running up that road, running up that hill, running up that building. It's the first ever party Zoomer. It's Max Mayfield.
Oh, this is such a fun one. Although, we don't have her at all in season 1.
Exactly. She is literally not in season 1. Breaking news to everybody listening to this, I'm sure.
Spoiler alert.
What do you think Max was doing during season 1?
I mean, presumably she's getting to know her, quote, new family after her mom and dad's divorce and preparing to be ripped away from basically the only home she's ever known in California, moving across the country away from her father.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's her big thing in season 2. She's in California in proximity to her dad, and she gets moved away. Billy is a horror show. Now, there is some supplementary material. There's a book called Runaway Max. It's like a YA, young adult novel.
Oh, I've never even heard of this.
I know, and it talks about, I think it's before season 3, written before season 3, and it talks about her life in California a little bit, and Billy is an absolute hell, of course.
In the book? Okay, because she even mentions at some point in season 1, Billy's always been a dick, but now it's worse since they moved.
In the book, Max's cat dies, and Billy lights the dead cat on fire.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
And we meet her
turning into his father.
We meet her in season 2. They've moved her from California to Indiana, like 2 months into 8th grade. Yeah. You ever notice that? Because it's Halloween.
That's kind of sad.
That means that Max started 8th grade at her California school.
Why wouldn't they have?
I mean, that's one of many questionable decisions from Max's mom and Billy's dad.
True.
We hear of her. We first hear of her as somebody who has beaten the high scores in Dig Dug, Mad Max, and she's this skateboarding new kid. The party, our characters that we grew up with in season 1 are questioning whether a girl could possibly have beaten them. Girls don't play video games. And she's a skateboarding little kid. And as soon as they figure out it is her, they are both Dustin and Lucas are incredibly smitten immediately.
Pretty immediately, yeah. Because obviously she has to be super smart, and she's really cool in their stalker observations.
Yeah, she calls them stalkers. They ask her to go trick-or-treating in a extremely bumbling fashion. Lucas and Dustin,
as you would expect.
We assume that you won't be there. You won't have anybody to hang out with.
Yeah.
But Max does go. She does go to hang out with them on trick-or-treating. Why does she show up?
Well, okay. She doesn't really dislike them the way that it kind of seems. She's angry at the world. I mean, she's angry that she had to leave her father in California. She's angry that she now has to live with this abusive stepdad and a stepbrother that doesn't just dislike her, but basically blames her for having to move to Hawkins.
Yeah, takes it out on her.
Yeah,
sure.
And so she really she craves connection. That's a natural result of somebody that's basically alone in the world right now. Yeah. So she doesn't have that connection at home. She doesn't know anybody in Hawkins, and I mean, Max is an intuitive character, so I think that she can sense that Dustin and Lucas are good people.
Yeah, I think probably that is as nice as Max would ever be to anyone in that situation. Yeah. She calls them presumptuous stalkers, but that is the nice version of Max. She's very guarded as well.
Yeah.
And she
has reason to be guarded.
Yeah. during the Halloween trick-or-treating, she's having fun with Lucas and Dustin, but Mike hates her, and the other kid, Will, is going through some sort of shit that she does not understand. He's flayed, he's freaking out, and that kind of continues into the next day at school.
Yeah.
They're freaking out about different things with Will. She's literally locked out of rooms at certain points as they're discussing things, and Lucas eventually tricks her into the back room of an arcade where she accepts the risk, and he tells her all of season 1.
Yeah.
Do you think so? She says she doesn't believe him. She says it's derivative in parts, which is a classic line. Do you think Max really doesn't believe Lucas?
Yeah. I don't think that she believes Lucas. I mean,
wait. So you?
I do.
Yeah, you don't.
No, I do not think that she believes Lucas
Okay.
in the arcade.
Okay.
And if you think about it, like the upside down is unbelievable. No sane person would readily believe it without proof. And Lucas doesn't have any at this point.
Yeah, she thinks that he's making it up to appease her. There's this moment I noticed on rewatch after Joyce, comes to the school. Will has his episode in the field where he implements the Baldo the Clown plan and shaking, and Joyce like peels off with Will, and it zooms in on all the kids, and Max is standing there with like her hand on her hip staring directly at Lucas saying, "Go on, lie to me." And Lucas says, "It's nothing." And then he does the arcade thing. So from Max's perspective, she's thinking he left, took some time to come up with some sort of explanation, and then gave it to her after some time. So I think that she doesn't believe him initially, but when they get out into the actual arcade, she starts blurting the stuff out. Oh, we gotta, there's this girl with powers or something, and he covers her mouth with his hand in a serious way. I think she believes him at that point, but is still too guarded to really like let her guard down.
And see, I don't think that she necessarily believes like what he's told her, but I think I agree with you, at that moment, she believes something's going on, something that truly scares him. And, she's starting to like form this connection with him. And so I think at that point she's willing to like accept that like maybe I should follow along and see what's going on.
Yeah, because that doesn't fit she thinks they're making this up to get to her,
Right.
She comes from a cruel household. She thinks this would be a horrible joke for Mike, Will, Dustin, and Lucas to play on the new girl.
Yeah, she doesn't have anybody in her life that she can trust. So
exactly. So trust issues. Lucas arrives at her house with the promise of proof. So she goes out the window with him to the junkyard where Dustin and Steve are setting up a trap for Dart. And, even Max is even doubting Steve. Like, are you sure it wasn't just a dog? Are you sure? And night falls. The fog rolls in. And Lucas and Max are up top on the bus. And they connect a little bit as they're looking out.
I know I can be a jerk like him sometimes. And I do not want to be like him. Ever. I guess I'm angry too, and I'm sorry.
There's that connection. It's building even more.
Yeah, I love this heart to heart. I mean, if you think about it, like, she must feel like she can open up to him in this moment because she knows that something is going on by this point. Yeah. Yes, she hasn't seen the Dumbadogs yet, but like he has told her something that to him is sacred, and she knows that. And so she's ready. Like, not only does she trust Lucas in this moment, but she also, I think, needs to open up to somebody. Also, dang, she's more grown up in this moment than anyone should be at 13 years old. And like I said, like intuitive, she's able to like really identify her emotions. That's pretty impressive at 13 years old. Like, she knows that her being angry is like she understands where it's coming from.
Yeah, she breaks the chain. Like, Billy's dad is angry and beats the hell out of Billy, who takes that anger and terrorizes Max.
Yeah.
And she's like, and sometimes I take that and I'm like, my first instinct is to spread that just like they do. But she's talking about it. And that's why she's nothing like her brother, as Lucas identifies.
Mm-hmm.
Billy or her dad would never get to that depth of realization of where their anger and their torture of other people is coming from.
Right. Also, I would like to add too, she really handles the appearance of the demodogs right after this scene quite well for somebody that's seen the supernatural for the very first time.
Yeah, she does better than Steve. What?
Way better than
Steve in
Steve.
season 1. Yeah, the demodogs arrive. There's a bunch of them. They didn't expect that. She sees the full through the sunroof. She sees the full pedal of a demodog.
Yeah.
So she believes it wasn't a dog.
And we see that she's not like a scaredy cat at this point because she still goes along with everything too.
Yeah, she doesn't give up. She, with them, chases the demodogs back to the lab or follows them, wondering where they went. She gets swept up in it all. From the lab, they go to the Byers' house. They learn of Bob Newby's death. They're brainstorming. This is her first time as part of a Byers' house brainstorm. They do the whole Will Flair thing where they black out the shed and the phone rings and the demodogs are coming again. And they're saved by a girl that Max has not yet met, who has apparently superpowers, named 11, the girl from Lucas's story in the arcade.
Which, again, she takes very well, by the way.
Yeah, and she tries to introduce herself to 11 right here, gets the absolute cold shoulder.
Yeah.
Because she had those little moments with Mike as she was in the gym skateboarding around him.
That.
Yeah, and she's really pushing to be accepted by Mike, who is absolutely against her from the trick-or-treating to every single step of the way. And she knows that Lucas defied Mike. And then 11 gives her this cold shoulder. Neither Mike nor 11 are huge fans of Max. Why does she even want to be a part of this party? She tells Mike, I want to be the Zoomer. I want to be your Zoomer.
Well, as I said before, I mean, she craves connection. It's that natural human response to seek out love and connection when you're lacking it in your life. And she clearly is, because she has nobody, basically. I mean, her mom is freshly married and, connected with her stepfather, and her stepfather is abusive. Her brother is an asshole. So, I think she needs that connection. She already feels it with Dustin and Lucas. And she sees the connection that all of them have together.
Yeah.
And she wants to be a part of that.
Yeah. I think she would never say that, but her actions tell us that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's great. So they all come up with a plan, though they're the bench warmers. The kids, Max, Dustin, Lucas, Mike, they're going to hang out at the house, babysat by Steve, except for there is a hitch. Billy arrives and he's looking for her, and of course she gives away her location by looking out the window at him. Those kids,
I know, God, they're so dumb. In that moment you remember, okay, yep, they're just 13. Yeah, dumb 13-year-olds.
Billy breaks in the house, absolutely slams Lucas against the fridge, battles Steve with plates and stuff like that. Starts
Steve's
beating the hell out of Steve. And Max is the only one to honestly save Steve from death.
I know, he could have died there.
Injects Billy with some of the sedative that they used on Will, and then gives Billy a speech with the nail bat. You're going to leave us unknown. Brings that bat right down by his tightly clad denim ass. And I mean, does this scene... So Max basically... Good. Yeah, you beat the bully.
She's comes out victorious.
Yeah, and it's like Billy's been so horrible this whole season. Does this scene hit any different knowing what Max is going to go through with his death and her really deep grief in season 4?
Yeah. Yes, I think it does. I think this is the moment. This is the beginning of Billy maybe having a little respect for her. And you see this because there's not really... as we watch the rest of Stranger Things, there's not really any more huge conflict between them. Excuse me. So I think he's impressed that she stood up for herself, but not in an abusive way like his father does, but because she actually cares for her friends and he can recognize that. and that she's not going to allow him to hurt or bully them or her anymore.
Yeah. And I see people say sometimes about this that, Max's feelings for Billy, don't make a lot of sense because we're washing over all the horrible things that he does,
right.
Pre-season 2 and during season 2. But the fact that Billy was so horrible, so vicious is part of it.
Yeah.
This beatdown of Steve is part of why Max wishes him dead later and throughout all this time. Mm-hmm. And she uses Billy's dad's language in this scene. I mean, she's really mirroring what Billy's dad does to Billy. Do you understand? Say you understand. She knows those interactions. She's using those interactions, and she knows the little kid Billy and that he's going to respond to that. I mean, there is this scene's actually, in my opinion, better because of all the grief that they go through.
I agree. I think there is that key though, whereas I think Billy can actually see that she's not acting out of why his dad acts the way he does to him in that abusive way, but she's acting out of love and caring.
Yeah. Well, with leaving Billy sedated on the floor, Max fulfills.
Yeah. What does Billy do after that moment?
When does he wake up? Is Joyce like, who are you?
Yeah, I know.
Max fulfills the prophecy of the Zoomer. Because Steve cannot drive, this 13-year-old 8th grader drives them at a pretty
brisk pace
through to the farming tunnels, and they go in there and they set fire. The distraction works. Victory over the mind flayer. And a month later, she and Lucas kiss at the snowball. Aww. She bails him out because he cannot ask her to dance.
No.
You asking me to dance, stalker? All right. Season 3.
We're getting into the juicy parts.
The juicy parts. Max has been dating Lucas, although they have broken up 5 times. So this is what,
as you do at that age.
It's 8 months later, right? That was the beginning 8th grade. This is summer between 8th and 9th grade. So those are pretty quick breakups, but he has clawed his way back. She's with the party. She's hanging out with them. They're going to the movies. She's part of Dustin's welcome back party, going up to Cerebro, when Mike and 11 ditch it. And she's just hanging out, having a good summer.
She's
in
officially
Indiana.
a part of the party.
She's officially a part of the party. Max and 11, in the second episode of season 3, join together. Because unbeknownst to Max,
become besties.
Mike is doing some lying stuff about Nana. And 11 just shows up. Just shows up one day. Hi. Yeah. I love 11. The friendship between them, do you think it grew between the second and third seasons, that eighth month, between the blowing off the handshake to hi? Or do you think this was a moment, a big switch from 11?
Ooh, I think it grew. I think it slowly grew. I mean, okay, so we know 11 didn't like Max because of jealousy. She was jealous. She hadn't seen Mike forever, and then suddenly there's this girl there. Mm-hmm. So there was that jealousy. But I think in that time in between, obviously, that we didn't see, she realizes that Max was never a threat in that way. And so they probably became acquaintances, but I don't think that they really were close friends because Mike and 11 started dating, and that's all they could focus on was each other. Right. So, I think that's why they weren't close friends yet, because of that connection. And it was Mike blowing everything by lying to 11 that allowed them to actually become close friends.
Totally agree. Because Max, she even calls it romantic. Mike and 11 just constantly spending time with each other, ditching everybody. Yeah. But once 11 opens up and gives Max a chance to offer her real opinion, Max wasn't going to give her unsolicited advice. No. But once asked, she's kind of aligned with Hopper. Yeah, you should probably do something besides hang out with Mike.
Right. And it was great advice. Yeah. And they become so close because of it.
It's a huge moment for 11. They go shopping at the mall.
See? What I tell you? There's more to life than stupid boys.
What girl doesn't want to go shopping at the mall?
And they hang out. They're they're having slumber parties at the cabin, at Max's house.
And Hopper is thrilled, by the way.
He is. Well, he really celebrates that. He's done it. She's got another friend.
Victory.
They do some spin the bottle with Eleven's powers. They look at Billy. 11 is convinced something is very wrong with Billy, and they go on that investigation. Eventually, Max is satiated. She's like, yeah, it seems fine. Billy's having dinner at the Holloways. Yeah. 11 knows something is still off.
Yeah, this is where Max is totally wrong.
Yeah, well, she's always the skeptic. I mean,
yeah, that is true.
She remains a skeptic pretty much through everything.
Okay, you're right. She is pretty skeptical.
But eventually, Mike, Lucas, and Will connect with Max and Elle. They connect with their stories. Somebody is flayed. The Mind Flayer's back. We think it's Billy. We're not sure. We're going to put him through the sauna test. And there's a lot going on in this. The battle inside the sauna and the locker room. But Max, I think, has the most complicated emotions in there. What is she going through?
Conflicting emotions. Yeah. Well, like I had previously said, between season 2 and 3, I feel like Max's relationship with Billy becomes less volatile due to their kind of mutual acceptance of each other after she stands up to him, right? So also Max is very intuitive. I think that's allowed her to see Billy more clearly, which, obviously we don't see this on screen. So this is all just speculation, but it makes sense for her character. She's seen him and his abusive stepfather, their interactions. She sees the way Billy's treated, and in turn, she's got to see the pain he feels at that abuse being inflicted on him every single day. Yeah. So naturally, that's got to contribute to her having a better understanding of him as a person. It is not far-fetched to think that she could feel compassion for Billy. Yeah.
And worry that this is going to push him off a deep end. Ruin any of their progress that they've had, but also send him into, honestly, murderous rage. It feels like if Billy had lived, he was going to murder someone.
I didn't see it that way. I saw it as she has compassion for him and she knows how much pain he's endured in his life so far at the hands of his stepfather, that she doesn't want to see him. She sees that he is in pain in this moment, and she doesn't want it. She doesn't want that for him.
And I think it is, like you mentioned, we don't see a lot of that. It's kind of why I asked this question. I wish we would have seen more of Max in this scene and her conflict, because my theory is that 11 doesn't kill Billy in there because of Max. Otherwise, why is it even a fight? 11 blows up 6 people's heads at will. She could just blow up his head.
Yeah, but he also has the Mind Flayer in him, though, right?
Yeah, he's got the Mind Flayer in him. But, I think that 11 wouldn't kill him if Max was... Because Will came back. Will came back from being flayed. You don't just blow up Will's head, if he starts attacking. I think there's a lot of conflict there between Max and 11 and in the battle, and it kind of works in reverse. What if Billy kills 11 or Mike while he's flayed, and just because Max doesn't want Billy's head exploded? The sauna test missed a lot of that, really sort of competing priorities for Max in that battle.
Yeah.
Inside of a sauna.
Inside of a sauna.
Well, they throw Billy through a wall, through a brick wall.
He's talking about not killing him. I mean, that would have killed him.
Yeah, we'll meet again, but they will meet again. They're going to try and find
such a creepy scene.
Oh man, they're going to try and find more of the flayed. And 11 is just using her powers, and Max and Mike are arguing about that. Nancy's siding with Max. Eventually, 11 does find Billy, but the meat flayer finds them because of that, which we now know Henry Vecna 1 is the one finding them at the cabin. There's a big meat flayer battle at the cabin. There's a big meat flayer battle at the mall. Max is just kind of along for the ride.
Between here,
Max, there is that moment where they're at the mall. They've escaped through the gap, and Billy is going down the side hall, and Max is trying to wake up Billy. He's like, you're Billy from 634 Cherry Road or whatever. Yeah. It would be so funny if he was like, oh, my address.
That's what did it. Okay.
And she gets knocked out by Billy, and she doesn't see most of the battle.
Yeah.
Does she see Lucas's fireworks plan work?
Yes.
Okay, 'cause
yes,
she
is a
plan.
part of that.
Okay,
yeah.
so she is a part of that.
Yeah.
But she wakes up in time to see 11 at the altar.
Oh no, she doesn't see that.
She doesn't see the fireworks?
No.
Yeah, okay.
She
I was
totally
thinking that.
doesn't.
So I'm sure Lucas told her.
Oh, of course he did.
Keep mocking my plan. She walks in to see 11 at that altar. The meat flay are going to kill her, and Billy grabs it, saves 11's life, at least for the moment. And
Saves all of their lives, not
and-
just 11.
yeah, all of their lives. Exactly. Well, Joyce actually saves their lives
Well,
because
yes.
he saves their lives for 60 seconds. Joyce saves it for the rest of their lives. Max goes over to Billy as he's just black blood. I mean, he's been drinking cleaning supplies, so he ain't doing well. And he just says sorry and dies.
God, that's so sad.
It really is. And a lot of people don't like this part of Stranger Things, and that hurts me because this is my
I can't believe
favorite.
people don't like this part.
This is my favorite thing.
You just
in
love seeing Billy die.
No.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
The redemption of Billy.
Yes,
This is
Billy's
this
redemption.
is Darth Vader. This is the Darth Vader moment of Stranger Things. Yes, this guy's an asshole. This guy's a complete murderous psychopath. I mean, I hear you, but I truly think Billy on his path, say he lives to be 40, he kills somebody. He's an absolute maniac.
I mean, I think he would have turned into exactly his
Yeah,
father.
He is a maniac, but he does this one good thing at the end. And it's just so powerful.
Because 11 brings out his humanity, honestly.
What would it be like if she just said good riddance? And it was like, yeah, he was a jerk.
Okay. She would be a way worse character if they made it out that way. Honestly, it would make her into everything she hated about Billy, basically, not caring. Also, like, not only is it just not like what her character is, but it wouldn't make sense for the Stranger Things storyline, and we wouldn't have anything that we get in season 4. Yeah. Season 4 would have been absolutely and completely different.
That's a great point. Max is so great point. She's a softie, and the impact of this on her is extremely interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So no good riddance.
No good riddance. But yeah, it makes me sad that some people feel that Max has no reason to be so distraught about Billy's death.
Well, some people are dumb. I mean, really, like, everything I said about like her relationship with him off screen is speculation, and we didn't actually see it on screen. But we know Max is a super intuitive and very caring. She has a very caring nature, even though she is like a skeptic. So it's not a stretch to imagine like that she understands where Billy's anger and hurt comes from. We also know that she knows about his past. She knows about his mom leaving him because when like 11 looks into his brain, his mind, she says, "Oh, that's California. Like that's his mom." So she knows that whole backstory. Also, like, Billy is her brother. Like, she has a connection with him. I think it's natural for her to like feel some semblance of pain. She has grown up with him the last few years, even though he is an asshole. But regardless of all that, even without all of that speculation off screen, when Billy sacrifices himself to save 11 and Max, really, like he's saving Max too, she is able to see his true character in that moment. She saw him save her life. He did that to protect her.
Yeah. That shred of humanity that she'll never get to see elaborated on.
Yeah.
Because he dies. It's
his redemption,
tragic.
like you said, his redemption.
Yeah, man. All right, well, let's go to season 4 where Billy's death is forgotten about. Kidding. It is obviously the
Integral.
And I do love that. I'm glad they didn't just let that go. Max is just death is not the only stake. Max is completely grief-stricken by Billy's death for complicated reasons. Yeah. We meet her 9 months after. It's been 6 months since the epilogue, 9 months since the 4th of July. She's wearing headphones all the time. She's broken up with Lucas.
She is totally broken as a person.
Yeah, she, like Lucas says, it's like you're not even here. Yeah. She's lying to the school counselor. You know, her mom is drinking. You know, Billy's dad is gone. They're living in a trailer park. She witnesses Chrissy's death, or at least Chrissy's body, and she goes to Dustin. And I just had this question. Obviously, we'll talk a lot more about the Billy stuff, but why does Max go to Dustin after the Chrissy death and not like the police?
Well, okay. She does know something is up, even if she's not like fully admitting it to herself. But she saw the combination of the flashing lights and Eddie's like absolute terror when he was fleeing the trailer park. So really in the back of her head, she does know something's going on, but she doesn't want to admit it to herself. I mean, like they've gone through these tragic events. She doesn't want to revisit that. She doesn't want to revisit the idea that the mind flayer could be back.
I'm on a different side than you. I think she is somewhat glad to have the upside down battle back and to have that connection again with Dustin and Lucas and everybody, because grief is it's so physical. It's so hard to describe unless you've lost somebody that you love. But no matter how much everyone else is sympathetic, empathetic, understanding about your brother or your dad or your mom or something like that, it's human nature that they move on and you don't. They move on quick and you don't. And the upside down being back kind of brings her a little closer back. Like, hey, remember this? This sucks. Okay. And we're all in it together again, right, guys? I've just thought that.
I pride myself on being the like empathetic person in our relationship, but that was very insightful, and I'm really impressed by your connection there. I didn't really think of it that way. I was just thinking of her going to Dustin because she knows something's up and that's why she didn't go to the police. But also like a little thing too, I think that she went to Dustin rather than anybody else in the group. Or Lucas, which is, half the people are gone in California.
Yeah.
But I think she does that because she can't go to Lucas because Dustin's the safer option. She doesn't have any like romantic connection to Dustin.
Yeah. And he's also like the best investigator.
The smartest
he's
one,
like, well, let's think,
Yeah, he really is the smartest one in the group.
So they are going to search for Eddie. And I do love Max is like, maybe Eddie actually did this. And Dustin is a hard no.
Yeah.
A hard no on that. So they hear what happened to Chrissy. After they've heard what happened to Chrissy, they need to find Eddie. Yeah. And they do. They find him in the boathouse. Then they see Fred's crime scene, Fred's death. And throughout that investigation, Max realizes, I'm next.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say maybe Eddie didn't murder these kids.
No, Max realizes she's next. She sees the clock. And she's just in absolute dread. She spends the last days in dread. Of course this asshole curses me. She's writing letters to everybody.
And she thinks that she deserves it too.
Yeah, that's what hurts so much.
So bad.
Steve takes her to the graveyard. She reads this letter for Billy, and let's have a listen.
They really hope that you can. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Billy. Love your shitty little sister, Max.
Oh, damn. This scene. Oh my gosh. I cry every single time. Okay, the music though.
Yep.
Damn, the music is so good through the entire reading of this letter. Okay, you know all the musical stuff.
Right.
What is this music from?
Well, this is like a re-recording on the season 4 soundtrack of the Eulogy song, the Bob Newby stuff from season 2. God. I forget
it's the Bob Newby
music. It
is.
It's the Bob Newby music.
Oh my gosh.
They also use it for Nancy and Barb. It's the truly sad music of Stranger Things.
That makes it even more sad knowing it's the Bob Newby music.
I know. And God, I just love that sound, man. It's so good.
So at least 4 times I've watched this scene, and every single time I've just sobbed, totally sobbed through the whole thing. I mean, your heart is breaking for her and that pain that she's feeling, the guilt that she's wrongly feeling. She she thinks that she deserves to die. And that is so sad. Like, there's nothing that she could have done to save Billy in that moment. So it's not her fault. And even if she had tried to save him, it would have like negated what he did to save her. So it's just, I don't know, the way they wrote this script, this letter, her reading the letter, like it identified their relationship. You know, she says in that letter, you hated me, I hated you. I think they didn't really hate each other in season 3. I don't think. But like she's gone through like this horrible relationship with him and she's feeling all that guilt. And you know, that's where that part comes from. It
obviously isn't the full truth too, as we talk about a little bit later. But I love this scene. Like, this is one of the biggest scenes of all time. I'm like talking about
the best scenes.
I actually like the Dear Billy scene.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. Do you know, like, as far as episodes that were rated, is this the highest rated?
Oh, it's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I think some of the season 1 episodes are higher rated.
Yeah.
And as they honestly should be, it's a masterpiece. But
yeah.
One of the things about this scene that I really love is for 4 episodes, we don't really know Max's thoughts on what is happening. Yeah. She's so dismissive. Just, I'm fine. Can we please go? Just wait in the car. Just drive. You know, she's so dismissive through the whole thing, that's part of her hard exterior.
Right.
This is
not opening up.
Yeah. This is the first time we, the audience, are getting to hear like what Max thinks about all this stuff.
Basically what she's been feeling the last 8 months.
Yeah. Really well earned. And obviously not the full truth, as Vecna then brings up in the form of Billy, which we'll talk more about as we get to the piggyback. But
but this is how we see like why she was susceptible to her mind being taken over by Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, Vecna.
Vecna, yeah. Love your shitty little sister Maxine. The clouds go dark. She's Vecna'd. She's in the graveyard. She runs from the graveyard into the red soup mind world, and she is saved by Kate Bush. And
oh my gosh.
It's not actually the song, it's the love for her friends, right?
Yeah.
That's what saves her.
Yeah, that's what saves her. But the song that she loves, it allows her to like be connected back into the real world. Oh my gosh, that scene is so amazing. Her running, her fear, her determination to live in that moment.
I remember watching that scene for the first time, and one of the thoughts going through my mind was, I'm glad that Max is like central to the story. Like this is truly one of the, if not the biggest moments of Stranger Things. And here she is right on our screen, the main character. Yeah. I loved it.
That could easily be a poster. The look on her face as she's running towards her friends through the red. Like,
amazing.
God,
amazing.
So good.
Well, she gets to her friends. She gets some headphones on and keeps Kate put close at hand as they go through the rest of the investigation. They go to the Creel house because she draws it. They meet at Skull Rock. They discover Watergate. You know, all the stuff of the season 4. Right. They're caught by the police. They escape from the police. They help the kids escape from Upside Down. You know, all the stuff in
all the
season
things,
4.
You know,
and
zoom right through that.
Zoom right through it like a zoomer, as you should. Nancy goes into her Vecna trance. And when she comes out, Nancy's like, we got to kill this thing. And everyone's against her until Max agrees to the plan, volunteers herself as bait.
Yeah.
And Lucas is against this. And Max and Lucas start to have some conversations about that, you know, in the motorhome, in the attic. And they really start to come back together.
Yeah, they reconnect.
What do you think brings Max and Lucas, you know, back together here in late season 4?
Well, I think like a little near-death experience is definitely enough to give somebody perspective. Yeah. But like also I think Vecna identified her guilt, which allowed her to see it more clearly. It also
allowed... Great therapist, that Vecna.
Yeah, I know. That's his real purpose here, insightful. Right? But it allows her to also see the love that she has in her life from her friends. She she has a life to live for. And I think that's the turning point. She felt like she deserved to die before, and now she wants to live. She never stopped caring for Lucas. She was just so caught up in her own guilt and feeling like she didn't deserve to be on this earth anymore, that she couldn't allow herself to be happy. She didn't think that she deserved the happiness of being with him. But, after Vecna, she knows that love saved her ultimately.
And he has stuck to it as well. So that has to resonate for her too. Like, I must be worth something. This guy, sees something in me.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of leads me to my other question. Max expects to survive this encounter.
Yes, I think that she does. I think her setting the date with Lucas was her way of saying, I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit on life. She knew the risks. She knew that she could possibly make it out of here, but she's goddamn Mad Max. She's a fearless warrior. And so she's focused on the love that she has for her friends now, and she is willing to take the risk to protect them. But she's not quitting.
I love that date scene. Silent.
Yeah.
Such a great acting moment. And
a very sweet moment. Yeah.
So as they sit there, Erica lights the beacon, and it's time, Max and Lucas, to begin phase 2. Max is going to be the bait, and she gives Vecna the full truth.
Because I just want you to take me away. And I want you to make me disappear.
The real story, the real truth is brutal. Just a picture of grief, of imperfect grief.
Yeah.
This guy was not good to her. She wanted him to die. She wanted him to crash his car. She wanted something terrible to happen. And then he saved somebody's life.
Uh-huh.
That is so complicated. I
Absolutely.
just love it.
His redemption.
The show is so silly sometimes to have this thread of just,
the thing I loved
so
about
rich.
Stranger Things is like it's growing up with them.
Yeah.
It went from more kids show to like deeper, more adult emotions and everything. And I just really love that. So I definitely want to touch on this speech. So her first experience with Vecna, I think that allowed her to see the flaws in her guilt logic, but obviously like her guilt, it didn't just go away. Right. She realized her flaws and she wants to live now, but she still has all of those feelings. It's not like they're not there anymore. And she knows that this is what Vecna will prey on.
I love it. And she, inside of the Vecna thing, she's got a plan.
Yeah.
She's hiding from him inside of her mind, goes to the LA River, goes to the snowball. He finds her, turns all the balloons to blood.
I love that that's where she goes too. Like that's one of her happiest memories.
The snowball.
Yeah.
11 is there. I piggybacked from a pizza dough freezer. What? And like, are you really here? It's really cool. Eventually, Vecna does win. He's got 11 and Max up on the spires. God. Max is levitating in real life in the attic, and snap. Oh, pop. It's gross. It's horrifying. And technically she dies there. Yeah. And Vecna,
but not like he drops her before she dies. And that's like the most heart-wrenching stuff. She can't see. I can't see. I can't
And what's
feel
she saying
anything.
there? I want to live.
Yeah. I want to live. Yeah.
Horrifying if she were to really die there.
Oh,
I don't even know how.
God.
But she, obviously, 11 restarts her heart.
Yeah.
And then Max ends the season in a coma. Mm-hmm. And season 5 is going to do what? So you believe Max should come back, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
If she doesn't come back, I'm going to be pissed.
She's coming back. They wouldn't have restarted her heart it would.
No. Yeah. And you know what? The Duffer Brothers, they can write the story in a way that she comes back. That's like acceptable for her to live.
How would
they
how
don't
would you
have
do
to
it?
kill her off.
How would you do it?
I have no idea. I would like to leave that to the Duffer Brothers to figure out.
Here's the cynical side of me. I think they're just going to time jump and Max is like, fine. Like her eyes are back.
I don't want that.
Okay, but that's how they brought Hopper back. You know, Hopper just jumped over a railing and he was fine. 11.
You don't have any negative emotions to that, do you?
even season 1, 11 and the Demogorgon are evaporating together, right?
Yeah.
That kills the Demogorgon, but just sends 11 into a nap. You know, who she wakes up from. Like, why is she alive and the Demogorgon not dead?
I mean, it sends her into the Upside Down.
Now, I do like, yeah, it sends her into a nap in the Upside Down. You're right. What an inconvenience.
God,
I do think that the Duffers just kind of bring our characters back, and that's probably what's going to happen. But it's worth it. It's worth it for the green, rich, fertile character ground that we still have to cover in these series finales. I don't want a season 5 where 11 died in season 1, Hopper died in season 3, Max died in season 4, and by the end of the series we got like, you know, Karen and Will talking. They're the only ones left. That's, you know, I want everybody there.
See, I didn't see it going that way, and I kind of hope that they don't just like bring her back. That wouldn't have made sense for the ending.
I'm just being funny.
I think I do want to point out like multiple times last season we heard Vecna / Henry say that every person that he's killed is still with him.
Right.
So I don't know exactly how they'll use it, but I feel like that will be the connection to her coming back.
I support you in that.
Yeah, 11 saves her body. Vecna is still holding her mind, so they just need to like somehow find a way to return that. And I feel like they could take the whole season 5 like trying to make that happen. So maybe Max isn't acting that much in season 5, but she is still there.
I would want as much as Sadie Sink as we can get, though.
Oh, well, maybe they'll have her acting like in his mind.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like somehow in the Upside Down or something.
Yeah, hanging out with Fred.
You know.
Fred.
And Billy.
No,
wait. Would Billy? Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. He kind of... you know what? It doesn't matter. Anyway, all right.
It's all speculation.
That is Max Mayfield, the party Zoomer. We will be back next time to talk about... Hopper!
Oh, yay! One of my favorites.
Oh, you don't mess around with Jim. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. My name is Miles.
I'm Kathleen.
Good.